We're back with the third segment of the GSMC Sports Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this third segment, we're going to be talking about the Black Friday games, and we're going to look at the Black Friday game that's going to be from the NFL, as well as the college games, because there's going to be two college games that are going to be taking place on Black Friday as well. But obviously, I believe that the NFL Black Friday game is going to be the one that a lot of more people are going to tune into, even though the college games, it's towards the end of the season, these games are going to be rather important because it's going to determine whether or not teams are going to be able to make the college football playoffs and be eligible for it. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that, a little bit about that as well, because again, it is a new system, so there's no real guarantee as to like which teams are going to end up prevailing in the college football tournament and which teams are going to even be eligible for it. It's still a new thing, so take what I say with a grain of salt. So about the Black Friday game, there's only going to be one game that the NFL is hosting for Black Friday. It starts at 3 o'clock. It's going to be streamed on Amazon Prime. And the game is going to be between the Chiefs and the Raiders. A little bit of a sleeper game. It is an interdivisional game, and the Chiefs, they're 10-1, and the Raiders, they're 2-9. Gardner Minshew is no longer going to be the starting quarterback for this team after being ruled out for the season. And yeah, that's really all that you need to know in this matchup. At least from what I remember, I don't think Gardner Minshew is going to be eligible to play in this game. I'm just going to make sure, because I did see a report that he was most likely going to be, he's suffered a season-ending broken collarbone. So, yeah, he's going to be out for this game, not going to be playing in this game. And I haven't checked the depth chart of the Raiders. Again, I don't really watch Raiders games all that much. I don't have the ability to do that. They're not really nationally televised most of the time, and at certain instances they actually play games when my Giants are playing games, so it's like I can't really keep up with them. And their quarterback is a guy named Carter Bradley, so somebody that has not played a snap this year. Regardless whether they had him or Gardner Minshew, I don't expect the Raiders to really make this game all that competitive at all. I mean, again, Gardner Minshew, throughout the season, he threw 9 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. So really bad quarterbacking there. There's also Aiden O'Connell, so that's probably the quarterback that's going to end up starting for this game. I have no idea who they're going to be going with, but even he has thrown only 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, so not ideal in the quarterbacking situation for this team. They also have Desmond Ridder, so again, the quarterback depth for the Raiders, I'm not entirely sure who they're going to go with in the starting lineup for this Black Friday game, but maybe reports are already out. So let me go ahead and check let me go ahead and check to see if they're going to. Yeah, it's going to be Aiden O'Connell. So really not going to be I don't think it's going to be a much competitive game. However, the Chiefs, they do seem to, while they are going to be playing in Kansas City, they're playing a little bit weird. They are not really that dominant of a scoring team as they were in previous years, and it seems like they just mess around up until the fourth quarter, where they start taking things a little bit more seriously. Patrick Mahomes, he has not been playing well for most of the season. He's thrown 18 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, so not really an ideal touchdown to interception ratio, and not an expected touchdown to interception ratio coming from somebody as good as Patrick Mahomes. And like I said, it seems like this team takes things seriously more so during the postseason than they do during the regular season. They got this thing that the internet is dubbing black magic or dark magic, where it's like they play as bad as humanly possible, but they somehow are able to win the game in the end. But against the Raiders, the Chiefs, they almost always beat them. I remember the last time that they played the Raiders on national television, they ran this play called the snowball, where it was like all of them just like spin around in the circle, like is ring around the rosy or something like that, and then they line up, and they actually scored on this play, which was even more funny because it was a concept play, and it was like a ridiculous play because it's like you go into a snowball and then you line up. It's like, what on earth is that? It's like they're doing, it's weird, and the internet likes to make jokes about it, saying like, oh, this is how they activate their devil magic or something like that. But again, this game is, I don't think it's going to be I think it's going to be an easy game for the Chiefs. I mean, like I said, 10-1 compared to 2-9, and the only loss that they had was against the Bills. So I don't really see the Raiders adding to that loss count, and it's not like it really changes much in their division standings because the second team in the division is the Chargers, and they're 7-4. So that's still a 3-game difference. It doesn't matter whether or not they play well in those 3 games, or if they drop those 3 games, they're still going to be on top of the division. And it's not like this game really has any implication. And the Raiders, they're all the way at the bottom of their division. So again, not really that big of a deal, and no real changes that come in this game. And like I said, it's just any normal game. It's just casual football. It's not like it's a game that has crazy implications whether a team loses or whether a team wins. It's not that big of a deal. So that's the NFL Black Friday game. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the games that are taking place on Sunday. Not Sunday, excuse me. The Black Friday games that are happening on in the NCAA. Now there's actually quite a couple of them in a lot of these. There's a lot of college football games happening on Friday, and that phone, like, I don't know why someone is calling me now, but regardless, like, whatever that is, I mean, the Friday games, there's a couple of important games. I mean, Boise State, they're going to be playing against Oregon State, and as you know, Boise State is currently fighting for a bye week in the college football playoffs. They're right now in the recent college football playoffs and their standings, they're ranked at 4, and they play at 12 o'clock. Again, Oregon State, not a very competent team. I expect Boise State to completely destroy them in this game. Genty is a ridiculous running back, and if it wasn't for Travis Hunter being elite at both positions, I would put him first contention for the Heisman winner. I wouldn't mind if, like, both of those players actually ended up splitting the award and sharing the Heisman. I really would not mind that at all. And speaking of Travis Hunter, he also gets to play on Thursday night football. Not Thursday. Friday night football for college. Excuse me. He plays at 12 o'clock on ABC against Oklahoma State. And Colorado, it seems like Colorado is out of the college football standings. They did take a huge loss to Kansas. Kansas is a really solid team, but for a majority of the game, it's not like receivers were able to get open in that game. It was a really bad game for Colorado to drop, and that had huge playoff implications. Right now, Colorado is sitting at 8-3, and chances are there is not going to be many 3-loss teams that are going to be able to make it to the college football playoffs with how the playoffs are looking at right now and how the teams are standing. And there's also another important game that has college football playoff implications. Ole Miss against Mississippi State. Now, Ole Miss is another 3-loss team, and they recently dropped a game against the Florida Gators, which eliminated them from being eligible for playoff contention, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's how it works for college football. And I mean, if they would have been able to come on top in that game, then maybe they would have been able to have a spot in the college football playoffs, because I mean, the SEC teams, they're more often than not better than the rest of the other teams that are in the college football playoffs and in their standings. But Georgia is going up against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is 7-4. And Georgia, obviously, we know Georgia has its own problems. They're 9-2. They lost to Alabama previously in the year, which really dropped them in the standings. They also dropped a game to Ole Miss, who recently got eliminated from the college football playoff rankings. But if they drop this game against Georgia Tech, then they might end up being eliminated from the college football playoffs as well. And I mean, it would be kind of blasphemous, but if there was going to be any team that has 3 losses in the college football playoffs, it would probably be Georgia. However, if they end up dropping the game and Ole Miss ends up winning in the game that they're playing against, then there might be a chance that Ole Miss might go ahead and take that playoff spot, given that Ole Miss ended up beating Georgia 28-10. So again, it's really just dependent on how the voters they make this and how it works. But it's like it's really difficult. I don't expect them to make the college football playoffs over Georgia. I don't think Georgia is going to drop a game to Georgia Tech. But again, we'll see how it goes in the future and how the games end up planning out. Lil Fettuccine, he's in the chat. Just before I end this third segment, I'll answer this question. Thoughts on Mayfield suing his father for $12 million? I think that's a lot of money. There must have been a lot of money that was, quote, stolen from his dad in order for him to really do that. It reminds me of the Lonzo Ball and LeVar Ball situation, where it was like there was a little bit of feud between those two and the Big Baller brand. But I mean, you got to get your money. I don't really have much that I can say about that because again, I don't really know exactly what the deals were and how this lawsuit even came up. I have heard of the lawsuit though, so it's not like this completely takes me off guard, but it's like, just wasn't really prepared to talk about it because I think it's a little bit early. We don't really have all of the facts, and I don't want to say anything without actually having all of the facts. So we're going to go into a break, and then we're going into the fourth segment where I look at the college football playoffs and the standings right now, and anything important or noteworthy that could be happening in this final week of college football. So I'll be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.